matrilineal and patrilineal people tested, we're going to fill in every one of those. Let me get to the end. We're going to fill in every one of those. So now I've taken so long. I'm sorry. Are there any questions? Yes.
Yeah, about a year ago. What does that actually tell me?
Tells you that you are somehow related many generations back, probably before surnames, but a 12 marker is not a very close match. You have to be right on, and even still, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're closely related. The 12 marker is what they started with. Well, now with my 12 marker for the Morris, I found no one to match us yet, anywhere. Well, I found one person that might. He's off by one.
Others with just, maybe one.
Yeah. So what you need to do is upgrade to a 37 or 67. And then you're going to narrow it down. I use a 12 marker myself because especially for anybody in the Morris surname project, just because you'll tell you who you're not matched to. Because you have to match on 12 markers, or you're not going to match on anything. When you have 12 markers tested, when you have 37 markers, you're not going to have any more probability of matching than you did on that first 12. If you don't match on the first 12, at least by 11 to 12, forget it. There's no way, unless you have some history to explain why there'd be such a big difference. So 12 marker is get your foot in the door. It has your DNA in storage that can be tested again. And if you have any relatives that are getting along in age and you'd like to capture their DNA while you can, you do the 12 marker and you've got it. Because family tree carries that for as long as that DNA is good, which can be years and years. They don't know at this point. But for heaven's sakes, get anybody in your family that will be willing to take the test, which is just to take basically your Q-tip and go inside. There's not any information on this that you can use for any other purpose than this. It can't even be used for paternity, because really all this is a probability that you're related. No one could absolutely make a case for it. Yes?
My question is, if you had, like, my father and brother and grandfather are all straight down from the Jaeger line, of those three, which would it be better to have tested? Like, which DNA would provide the most information?
Well, for you, I would have your brothers, because you get your father's DNA and your mother's mitochondria.
Okay. But as far as, like, helping the organization find out information, it's going to be close to matter?
Yeah. But when I had my Morris tested, I had my brother and a cousin, my father's brother, and my brother's son. So I had 4 very closely Morris-related people who tested at the 12 marker. Then I just do extra tests only on my brother.
So
but
only the younger generation is better, or the oldest? I guess
well, there could be a difference between your father and your brother by, depending on which test. If you have a 37 marker, they might be off by 1, because the mutations do occur randomly.
It doesn't mean that one or the other is illegitimate.
No. It's only when they really don't match. And you've got a non-parent event. Any other questions? Yes?
So my grandmother was a Kemper. This is back to his question, a brilliant question. So my last name's Morosky, so I have no value to this project. Is that right?
Not that we know of right now, no.
Well,
But
unless his grandmother was through the maternal line, then he wouldn't have a mitochondrial.
your grandmother would have, your grandmother. Is your grandmother your mother's mother?
No.
Okay, your father's mother.
So that's
Truly a dead end. But then you'd never know. Look at all those people I found. And 2 weeks ago, I didn't know all those people. I just recently followed them around. All I ever done is that I traced my aunt back to see where her mitochondria would have come from, but I never traced all the different, my grandmother's entire patrilineage, or no, it's not patrilineage, it's, what is it called, that type of, anyway, it's their lineage all the way back. all their grandparents, all the women they married, and so on and so forth. Yes?
You know, even I don't have.
Now, I believe you are both R1s. R1 is the most common haplogroup. R1b1 is the most common haplogroup for men in Europe.
Even if you don't connect right now, look how new this is.
Yes, exactly.
You don't know what else is going to come up.
That's exactly it. You know, when I started out, 12 markers or 25 markers. Now it's 20, 12, 37, 67. And the people at the conference of the Family Tree DNA conference every year, they keep yelling, we want more markers, because they want to be able to get a finer grain distinction between peoples and generations. So, yeah, you may not match now, but first of all, it will give you some information. It will capture your DNA for perpetuity as far as that part of your DNA. And who knows what's going to come down the line. Because we're only talking about the Y chromosome. Well, besides the Y chromosome, there's also this thing called haplogroups. And you have to match, not only do you have to match the Y chromosome, if you match the Y chromosome, you're going to be in the same haplogroup. And just knowing which haplogroup you belong to will give you a big clue of where you might come from. And so anyway, and we all got that Ancestry magazine in our packet. If you look in the back, there's an article about testing one of Sally Hemings' sons, I believe it was. Excuse me, it was Alex Haley. One of Alex Haley's uncles, our nephews, got tested. And he was able to try to trace who this white overseer might be that was the father of his grandfather. Well, they tested him and found out what his haplogroup was, so that could narrow it down. And then all he had to do was try to find somebody somewhere in that haplogroup that matches his Y chromosome, and he did. He had first found one guy, but the guy wouldn't respond. Then he got this other guy. And you know what? It was the sister was responding. The sister had her brother had tested, and it matched. So they started communicating, and then he found out, oh, we're Scots. The male chromosome comes from Scotland. So it really does pay, I think, to have everybody tested, just because you don't know what it's going to be in the future. And once you've got it, you've got it. Because since I had the test done in 2003, my uncle has passed away.
Can we have Obama tested?
He's probably been tested. But so any other questions? And I gave you that short glossary, and I really never got to it, but those are all the terms that have to do with meiosis. And I have business cards here for this specific troop. And please feel free to contact me about any questions, especially if it has to do with this Germanna project. And I hope to see a lot more people joining the Germanna. And especially between now and July 31st, you have that special for $119, isn't it? And that is a real bargain. And